All right, welcome back to another episode of Water from the Rock. I am one half of your host, Marquis.
I am other half, Free Mail. And today, well, first of all, I keep forgetting.
Every time. That's why I don't say anything anymore.
Right.
I wait for you to get into it.
You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us.
Here with us.
And we appreciate it. And today we have a special guest with us.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Chef Cruz, a proud Puerto Rican native with over about 20 years of restaurant experience. Now lives here in Rochester since he was 18. He's become very popular for his pop-up restaurants or pop-up servings, which I've had the pleasure of having. Is damn good.
Yes,
very, very good. But now,
every course.
Soon, opening up his own restaurant. So
the
Chef
brick-and-mortar
Cruz.
shell restaurant coming soon. Chef Cruz.
Thanks for sitting down with us, having a conversation. And you all have, go back a little bit,
Yeah. So we met via social media.
Yep.
And decided I was thinking about doing one of the pop-ups and going to one of the pop-ups, but then I thought to myself, the pop-ups are cool, but I want to do something more intimate. And we ended up connecting through that, having the conversation, getting everything going with the pop-up, work through. And that's another thing about you that I appreciate as well. And Carl, the gentleman you introduced me to the other day, said the same thing about how, attention-oriented and just service-driven you are in the thought process or what have you. Because one of the first things he asked, so Candace, his wife, doesn't eat beef, and he doesn't really eat seafood, shellfish or whatever, and gave him that, no problem, we'll just whip this out and move this course or whatever. And it turned out your pork substitution, everybody else yeah, you got any more? I want some more.
I planned that, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So thank you for that or what have you. But we connected via social media, and the relationship has blossomed into what it is. Been to a couple pop-ups afterwards, got some imaging going or whatever. And, looking forward to continue working together and creating some more imaging with the new place opening up here soon. So we won't spoil any of that. We'll let you get into that pretty soon or whatever. But Cruz, welcome aboard, man.
Thank you guys for having me. I really, really appreciate it. It's an honor to be here with you guys.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
I appreciate anybody that is trying to bring locals and give them a little bit of spotlight and basically giving them a platform for them to speak a little bit about themselves and introducing them to a different audience. So thank you for that, guys.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
As soon as I heard you speak at the dinner, I was like, oh, we got to have him on the pod. Just when he was at the end of the table and running down, telling his story about everything. I like to talk, guys. I like to talk. So just bear with me. It was it was cool. It was cool. I was like, damn. I'm like, okay, yeah, we got to have him on. So yeah, again, thank you for that. But
yeah, so let's before we jump into what's going on now, we like to start at the beginning. And we know you being a chef is passionate, obviously. So how did it start? Where did it start?
It started a summer of, I don't know the exact year, but I was 16 years old, and a friend of mine, it was summer. I was across the street from my house. I lived across a lake kind of situation. And he came by the house and he was like, hey, dude, I work at this restaurant. I'm looking to quit. I don't have enough time to give them a notice, so I would like to give them a person to replace me.
Was this here?
This was in Puerto Rico, back home.
Rico.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Puerto Rico. I lived there until I was 18 years old.
Okay.
which part?
So, I grew up basically most of the time in San Juan.
Okay.
So I'm a city boy. I feel like a lot of people that I meet here in Rochester are more from the countryside, which is there's no problem.
Yeah,
It's such a small island, so it's not they're that far away from me.
Yeah,
but
Berta's father's from the country's Kaje.
Yeah, Calle, yeah. So I basically, I grew up in the city. I grew up in a, medium income household. I'm not gonna say here I struggle, or anything like that. I had a great education growing up. I went to Catholic school.
Okay. Solid foundation.
Yeah, I had a solid foundation.
Decent start, yeah.
It kind of fell off in my teenager days, and I feel like that's kind of where I suffer. But again, I don't like to talk that much about it because at the end of the day, all those experiences form me into who I am today.
Absolutely.
So did they feel like a bad thing happening to me back then? Yeah, but without them, I wouldn't be
Be
who
here,
I
right.
am today. So yeah, I mean, I started as a dishwasher in this restaurant. My friend got me in. He was quitting. I had an interview in the back of the restaurant through the back door, literally. And the guy was,
Can you wash dishes?
yeah. He's like, can you wash dishes? He's like, how old are you? It's completely illegal. I was 16. I told him I was 18.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a baby face, and I did back then even more. So I basically, I lied my face, and it's like, okay, we'll take you. Can you come in at 4? This is like at 2, you know? And I came back, and you know, I had a really bad shift. I got backed up on dishes. I didn't know what I was doing or anything like that. So
You knew nothing about the pace.
I didn't
of a
know
restaurant
anything
back
about
then.
a restaurant. It was my first job
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
have never worked anywhere. You know, I had my dad was in not my dad, my stepdad. He was on a construction. He had a construction company, which was just him. He, you know, had a couple employees and whatnot. But you know, sometimes I will go and help and clean the tools and things like that, but never into like an actual real job. At the end of the night, one of the cooks looked at me and it's like, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna show you how to do this once. This is what works for most people back here." And he busted through all the dishes really quickly, and I was like, "Oh, okay," you know, and like,
I got it. I think I could do this now. Yeah.
yeah, I think I could do it, and you know, I took his advice and I learned, and you know, one good quality about myself, not to brag about me or anything, is that, you know, anything I do, it doesn't matter and what I'm doing, I always try to like exceed on it. It's just
Right.
like an internal thing.
Did that experience at that, you know, kind of first ground level in a restaurant, does that help you now where you know how to get things done? It's
Oh,
from
yeah,
a
I
menial
mean,
level.
the discipline that I have learned through working in restaurants, and you know, the pace, the discipline, the organization, that, you know, most people think that you actually have to be fast, but you actually have to be organized in order to be successful in a restaurant. And
Mise en place.
in mise en place, you know,
Yeah.
it's like you have to have everything in, you know, in place in order to be successful. And in any job, in the restaurant at least, you know, again, I've done this my whole life. This is all I
Yes.
know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but I've taken a lot of those lessons that I've learned from restaurants, and I have applied them to my life, you know, and
Sure.
like, you know, my mise en place in my real life might look a little bit different than having my chives, my shallots, and all
Sure,
those things
sure,
in the
sure,
restaurant.
yeah.
You know, my mise en place in life might be organizing my schedule and like, how am I going to balance my, you know, my morning routine with like
Sure,
working
sure,
out, or
yeah.
like spending time with my family or my girlfriend. And then like, after that, I have to go to work. Like, how do I, you know, that's how
Right.
Yeah.
you know,
Conceptually, it applies.
yeah,
to
everything
both
kind of like
sides,
has
yeah.
been
Time
able-
management.
Yeah, it's like a time management, and like, you know, it has a different name, but like, again, it's kind of like a mise en place. You're putting your pieces in place.
Yes, absolutely.
Dope. So, you started washing dishes.
Yep.
And you working there, I'm assuming you had a decent run doing that or whatever. At what point did you garner the interest, or did someone suggest to you like, hey, maybe you should cook, or maybe you should come over and take a look at what we're doing? Or was it some sort of like ambitious move on your end? Did you see it like, damn, that would be cool, I want to do that? Or hey, can you teach me? How did that transition
Yeah, I
work
don't
from the
think
dishes to the actual burners, if you
Yeah,
will?
I don't think I ever had any interest in becoming a cook or a chef by any mean or anything on that. One of the things that really drew me to the restaurant, it was kind of like the culture. And I always, you know, I've said this before, and I always say it was all the wrong reasons, you know. People love to party, people love to, you know, drink and do drugs and whatnot. And it was a fun environment.
Yeah.
As a 16-year-old kid, you know, I had turned 17 at that time.
Oh, you grew up a little bit.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it only took 3 weeks, so I was like I was almost
Yeah.
17 when I
But no,
started.
it's the perfect environment for that point in your life or whatever, as far as like lifestyle. You're up late hours, sleep late,
Yeah.
sleep in late,
Yeah, you
get
sleep
up,
in.
go to work. You got to be there at 4. You can sleep till 2, get up, shower, jump in, you know. So yeah, it's
Exactly. So I kind of like fell in
interesting
love.
life.
I fell in love with that aspect of it, and you know, the kitchen that I was working, they were a little bit understaffed. The first thing I ever made on a professional kitchen was a pizza. I asked the chef on my second day at work. I was like, hey, you know, I'm really hungry. Can you make me, I would like a pizza, pepperoni pizza. And he's like, you know, we're really busy. We don't have enough people here. Like, I'm going to show you how to make pizza. And from here on, you're going to make it yourself.
Wow.
And with that, that interaction, he showed me. And then like, I legit ate pizza every day because I wanted to. Again, it was like it wasn't even so much the interest on, on the cooking aspect of it, but it was more the interest on getting good at doing one thing, And I wanted to learn how to like make the pizza really good. And by making my own pizzas, they were shorthanded. I was getting really good at keeping the dish pit clean.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be like, "Hey, Cruz, like, can you come? Like, I need you
Jump
to
on
make
pizzas.
Yeah, can you make a couple pizzas?" And I'm like, "Of course,
That's easy. I can do that.
I can do that." Yeah, and
But
like
that
the
was
sense of pride that gave me of like somebody asking for my help and me being able to provide that.
Well, trusting in you too to do that on that scale for a restaurant.
Yeah,
So.
and it was a pretty nice restaurant. It's not longer there. It was in Puerto Rico in Old San Juan. It was called El Buren.
Mhm.
And it was that's kind of like what really that restaurant is like kind of like really what started everything for me. But like, and even in a sense of like loving different types of food. I was a picky eater growing up. This restaurant El Buren, it's the meaning. It was like where Taínos, which was the indigenous Puerto Rican people, they made their bread. It was the basil. That's what it was called. That's what it's called. And the restaurant was an international cuisine restaurant. So it was really fun to see different cuisines, but every dish had something Puerto Rican. Like we had these gnocchis, and instead of being made with potato, they were made with yuca.
Yeah.
So it was like,
yeah.
So it was like a fusion, and
Sure.
that got me into wanting to learn more about where all these things were coming from.
So real quick, you mentioned you were a picky eater. What as a child or at a younger age you didn't care for, but now you see how tasty or how vibrant the flavor is?
Onions.
I'm same way.
Yeah, I think I despise onions growing
Sophia's
up.
struggling with onions right now as well. Shallots. I made shallots and Brussels sprouts a couple nights ago. And she's like, can I not have the onions? Yeah,
I think can think of the name of the chef that said this. I didn't say it, but it was a woman. She was like, the base to any good dish is garlic and onions.
I can see that. I can absolutely see that.
And for me, like I
garlic is in everything.
I strongly, sometimes there's dishes that don't need it or whatnot, but it was onions for me, and I think the only reason I was a picky eater was because growing up, I think my family didn't really expand so much on the food that I was eating at home. So it was not more of like me not liking things. It was more of like I was never introduced to those things.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So you start off in the kitchen, started cooking the pizza, transitioning to here or to New York. Was that the next step in your career or?
Yeah. So my mom had moved to New York already. I was living on my own at a very young age. At 17, I had moved on my own, and I rented an apartment with my cousin, and I was working. I was making a little bit of money that I could afford to live on my own and whatnot. And I mean, I always wanted, when I decided it took me probably like 6 months to like really make the decision that this was what I was going to do.
Right.
At that time I was I wanted to be a jockey when I ride. I was really skinny.
I can see that.
Yeah, I was really skinny.
You got the build, the height for it.
Perfect build for it.
Yeah,
and I used to ride horses in Puerto Rico too. So it was something that I wasn't really passionate about, I guess, but it was something that,
it made sense essentially for you?
It made sense.
Yeah.
I was kind of good at it. Like my friend had horses. I will, we'll go to this like big horse rides and like we'll race other people and I will always win. And that was like extra money, because we'll gamble. But, that was like my goal. But then I was like, I really like this. I got a good mentor at that restaurant. His name was Robert. And he was like, hey, I don't like to tell people what to do, but you're a natural at this. I feel like with like further education, you can go very far. And, I kind of listened to him and, I started liking it. Again, at that time, I didn't like it for the right reasons, but
sure.
I was getting good at it. And I think it's like a human nature when you do something and you become good at it.
Right.
you're kind of like willing to kind of like move forward with it or pursue it, because it really feels good to do something that you're good at, you know,
and succeed at it as well.
And succeed at it, you know. So,
but that's very impactful to have someone believe and see something in you that you didn't see in yourself.
I have to say that, you know, most of my life I have had, and this is like even people outside of my family, again, not here to like feel sorry or anything. I never got it from my family, but I did get a lot of, you know, confidence and, you know, from teachers in school. I was a very smart kid. You know, I had good grades, you know, by just listening. I have a good retaining memory. And I have good visual memory, which I think it's also one of my best qualities that helps me with food.
For sure.
But, you know, I had, you know, teachers like, hey, you're going to be something. You know, growing up, before even the jockey team, I wanted to be an astronaut because like I was really into the science and I was good at math and science. So it was like, you know, and then I went to, I was supposed to go to college at 14.
Oh, wow.
They had
a big brain.
Yeah, they had a program for to finish high school quicker, and then while you were doing high school, they were going to start giving you basically like college credits on the side.
14.
At
Cruz.
Impressive.
14.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. And you know what's the craziest part? I scored the highest on math that as anybody scored in that test. So in Puerto Rico, your basic classes are math, Spanish, and English. Those are your 3 classes that you really have to, like, those are your main credits. Like, if you don't do good on those, like, you're done. You know, you're not going to pass. So I passed my Spanish. I'm pretty good at Spanish, too. English, completely failed. I knew 0 English. And I never cared for it. I don't think I didn't start caring for it until I moved to the United States, because I think it was
you didn't have a choice, right?
Yeah, it's like, I got to learn it now.
Yeah, it's a necessity.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll be surprised of what you can get yourself to do when it's something that it's a necessity.
When you have to. Yeah.
When you have to.
Yeah.
So let's transition, you know, from Puerto Rico and you come into the States. Was first stop Rochester, or I know you spent some time in New York City. What was next?
My first stop was here in Rochester.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom was already living here, so I basically moved in with her. And when I moved in with her, you know, and same day I got here, we went into REOC to get ESL, you know, and quickly she got me into like classes and like me learning English. I think 2 months into it, I kind of like felt a little bit comfortable with the, you know, the language. So I went out and got a job. At the time, most of the restaurants, or at least that I knew, were in Henrietta. I went out all down Jefferson Road.
Right.
And I applied at every single restaurant.
No kidding.
And then the next day, I get a call from Macaroni and Grill. And I applied as a dishwasher because I didn't know any English, even though I had a little bit of cooking experience. And they called me and said, "Hey, we need a dishwasher."
What year is this again?
This was 2010.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
And this is the Macaroni Grill on Jefferson. It was like right in the plaza.
It was
there?
right on the plaza. Yeah.
Yeah. I know exactly right where the Red Robin is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, by Red Robin. Yeah. So they called me. I got the job, and you know, I was a dishwasher, and you know, I knew how to do that very well. I knew that I didn't have to talk to people, so I knew that if I washed dishes good, you know, I could, you know, and I could learn more English at work, and like, you know, I think one of the important things in the kitchen was communication.
Yes,
true.
Yes.
You know, so I couldn't go into a kitchen and not being able to like understand what I was being told that they needed. So yeah, within, you know, 2.5 months, you know, I got very comfortable with English. I was learning a lot. The language was becoming like second nature almost to me. And yeah, I was going to quit the restaurant because like Macaroni and Grill, I was looking now to find a job as a cook somewhere.
Yeah, want to
you
move
know,
up. That was going to be my next question. When did that come?
And it was like 2.5 months later, and you know, that served a purpose. I felt more comfortable working in kitchens. I've learned the name of things in English, you know, like this is a saute pan instead of a sartén, you know, so it's I was like learning all the lingo of the kitchen in a different language now. And I I remember I applied at Buffalo Wild Wings. Not that it was like a restaurant or whatnot, but I always was a big believer that I needed in my resume that I had cooked somewhere to then from there kind of like continue to build. They hired me when I went back to Romano's Macaroni and Grill to tell them, hey, I got a job as a cook, and they like sat me in the office and they were like, hey, do you know what? Like we are actually want to promote you as a pizza cook. And I didn't want to fry wings. So I was like, yo, I'll call them right now.
Yeah.
They said the magic word pizza.
Pizza
I do that
is
in
like
my
I
sleep.
have no idea. I've been doing pizza.
I've been doing. It was like it's to this day is my favorite food.
Best pizza place in Rochester.
Peels on Wheels.
Peels, I haven't been there.
Peels on Wheels. I told you, Parcells.
Yeah.
Okay. Peels on Wheels.
A little pricey, but worth it.
Yeah,
Definitely worth it.
Pizza Wizard is my favorite. I like Pizza Wizard.
I really believe that
Pizza Wizard is one of the top 3 ranked spots here.
It is, yeah. I think when it comes to pricing food and all that stuff, and to me the price just becomes an issue when I'm not getting the product. And I know the Louis at Peels on Wheels he is sourcing some of the best product.
Yes, he is.
He is making cheeses in house. He is
He makes a ricotta in house.
Yeah, his stracciatella. Like he's really doing a lot.
Their honey is local source, I believe.
Yeah, but the thing with him is that he's putting in so much time into his craft or anything, and like, do I want to pay those prices for pizza? No, but I also I much rather pay that price for something that I know I'm gonna
you're
love
gonna get
than like paying $25 for something that I'm gonna that it's not gonna when I eat food, like I'm always looking for the spark.
Yes.
I'm always to be mad of like, why is this so good?
Right.
I want to be upset,
Yeah,
Right.
Joe's Brooklyn used to be that, but they suffer consistency.
Which is another big part
which is like you said, when you're spending, you walk out of there and you're spending $30, $35 on a pie, you expect it to be, and I've adopted this tradition from his family, family movie nights on Fridays. And we were always doing pizza on Friday nights, but keeping my daughter's attention span for a 2-hour movie proved, damn near impossible. So she's like, yeah, pizza, snacks, cool. As soon as that's done, 10 minutes, can I get my iPad? But like adopting that and doing pizza or whatever, it's like a thing with us or whatever. And so regardless of the price, it was like, okay, we know it's good, but then it's just like, pew. Then out here, I'm like, damn, do I want to drive to Parcells? But Peels on Wheels,
you gotta check that out.
They make you drive.
I will report back when after I get it.
Yeah, I would say, and it's really sad that we're about to lose him. He's moving to, I think it's Chicago. Not sure exactly where he's moving. His wife got a big job, and that tells you how selfless he is because you having such a successful
bit. Yeah, absolutely.
For you to
That's our last episode was on being selfless or selfless.
Yeah, and him just giving it up just because as selfless as he is, he's like, hey, Cruz, my wife got a big job that she cannot get here in Rochester. I can go anywhere in this country and make pizza.
Yeah.
I can reestablish
and
myself.
Chicago is arguably, one of the pizza capitals or whatever. So he can actually compete and bring a good, New York style pie to the Chicago area.
I mean, what I really try to tell people about him is like, he's just not like, the best pizza in Rochester. Like he is some of the best pizza in the area. Like the whole New York almost.
That's dope.
He's been
Get him before
nominated.
he's gone, man.
Yeah,
He's been nominated.
Make me want to try like next week.
Yeah. He's been nominated in the Washington Post. Like he gets a little bit more love from outside press, than the local press.
Awesome.
Well, let's. I'm gonna try. I promise. But let's jump back. Let's jump back to you. You get the macaroni grill kind of promotion. When did you get your shine or that next big jump to get you the experience that you wanted?
I think I worked at Romano's Macaroni and Grill for almost 2.5 years, and I think that I got a big shine there, even though there wasn't like a pristine restaurant or anything. I learned a lot. It was a restaurant that when it was at its peak, it died fairly after I left, I think. Not because of me, of course, but it was just
it's a chain, and
it's a chain,
it went down.
but I remember nights there when we will do 500 covers,
Wow.
on a service. And then that's, are you learning how to make the best food? No, but you're really learning other skills that could become useful in the future. But at one point there, they wanted me to move back home. They wanted me to move to Puerto Rico. They were about to open a macaroni grill somewhere in the island. I don't remember exactly where. And they were offering me the kitchen manager position, But that really didn't coordinate for like my future goals, and like I always wanted to move to New York and like see what was that all about because I kept hearing about it. So I was there for 2.5 years. From there, I think I was going to MCC. Chef Brickman was my culinary professor there, who was one of my biggest mentors. And chef from the old Mario's walked in. It's like, hey, I need a good cook. I'm really down bad. I just took the chef job at Mario's. And he kind of like told him, hey, I have one kid for you. I'm going to go find him. And you talk to him and then you make the decision. So Chef Brickman went and found me. And
that's here, or is it?
This is here, yeah.
Abruzzi, yeah. So they're on Empire, right? This is where the Mario's that you were at?
The Mario's that I was at on Monroe.
Monroe, okay, yeah.
So right where the
Whole Foods is
the
now.
Whole Foods is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked,
Mario's via Abruzzi.
yeah, and to me, like walking in, like it's kind of like old school Italian, but like it was a big restaurant. It was pretty. Like old school, like it had that Italian,
that Italian dark ambiance, that steakhouse feel to it. Yeah,
big chandeliers, big lamps, you know.
Wow.
Like a movie, like out of the Godfather movie. It had that ambiance.
To me, when I
it,
walked in for my interview, I was like, what is this? I was like, I kind of want to work here,
Yeah, was it intimidating?
It was very intimidating.
Gotcha.
And the hiring process, they gave me a test. Which I'd never gotten that in my life, like a food test. And you had to answer all these questions and whatnot. And, one of the biggest lessons that I learned in my life, it's been from that test. And it was a question that I got stuck in, and it was it was the last question, actually.
Do you remember the question?
Oh, I do remember the question. The question was, what is the difference between good and great? And I really, at the time, didn't know how to answer the question. And, I don't remember because, again, it didn't matter what I wrote down because it wasn't the right answer, and I knew that. But, and it wasn't, the question read more like, what is the difference between a good dish and a great dish? It wasn't, I changed it a little bit.
Sure.
But I went to school. I went back to Brinkman, who was like my mentor. And I was like, hey, chef, I have a quick question for you. I think I killed the test. There was this last question that I got stuck on. And it was like, what is the difference between good and great? And he was like, Cruz, it's easy. I was like, what do you mean it's easy? And he goes, he was like, hey, anybody can be good. You can make anything really good. What it's going to separate good from great is the attention to detail and your willingness to do more to something and just pay attention to the little details.
And that makes it memorable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I, from that day, I've taken that for the rest of my life. It was a valuable lesson, and it applies to everything in life. Anything that you want to do, if you put enough attention to detail and if you want it bad enough, I think you can achieve it,
The difference between good and great. Wow.
That's an episode. That's actually an episode. We should think on that. The difference between good and great. Cool.
I mean, you think about it. Anybody can be good. I had good McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
it's just what it is.
Yes.
But I also had great McDonald's because it was and I still remember this. I was working at a Michelin star restaurant and I brought it up until we do this pre-shift meetings where all the staff gets together and they, and I remember I was searching for an apartment at this time. I was living in New York, and I'm not trying to get out of the timeline, but I'm about to go meet a realtor, and I get down in the subway. McDonald's is right there, and needed a quick meal. Order my Big Mac, fries out of the fryer, salted
Fresh.
perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
That burger was
Nothing
hot.
beats McDonald's fries from
Yeah, you know, the burger was like perfectly warm, like hot. You know, the bun, like,
Yeah.
you know, was like toasted and like, you
somebody
know.
took their time and then put some attention to
Like,
detail
wait a
in
minute, this is
and
not
putting that together. Yeah.
what I'm used to from a Big Mac.
Yeah, yeah. You used
know
to
what
get
I mean? Yeah, it was-
the bun crooked, patty
it was
sliding one
just-
way.
Everything was just nice. And I was like, okay. You know, like I learned something that day that it's like, even though it's like a fast food or not, you know, and
Yeah.
like, you know.
And applying that to good and great.
And then you apply that to like, you know, good and great and, you know, but
The difference between...
since you run, I'm sorry.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Since you're on New York City, let's stay there for a minute. How was? You know, you spent some time there, worked in restaurants. How was your time in the Big Apple?
New York, my time.
I've never been, by the way.
You never been?
Mm-mm.
No, I think New York for me, to this day, I think it's like my favorite city in the world.
Mhm.
I think it's,
I would
I've
agree
never
with
been
that.
to Chicago, so like, I might be a little bit biased. And I think I mean, I know that I could go to Chicago
Mhm.
now and like, I know I'm not gonna have the same feeling as I do for New York, just because like the level of hospitality in New York City is just different.
It's
Not
just so much.
Not just the food.
Mm.
You know, like, you know, everybody out there is just competing.
Yeah,
You know, and
yeah.
like,
With this-
if you don't really, you know, have it, you're just not gonna make
The
it.
concrete
What's the-
jungle.
Like, there's no cutting corners.
the old adage, if you can make it here,
you can make it anywhere. Frank
you can make it
Sinatra.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'll
yeah.
tell
If
you
can make it
something.
there, you
I'll
can make
tell
it
you
anywhere.
something. You know, like that city, chew me, spit me out, kick my butt, and you know, I left.
You learned a lot about yourself.
I learned a lot of very quickly, and I left shorter than the time that I wanted to spend there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coming back here was not what I want. I wanted to always come back here. I wanted to go there, do my thing there, and then bring it here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, but it beat me up quicker than I thought.
Mm.
You know, I wanted to be down there for 5 years, and I total spent a little bit of 3 years and change there. But you know, I always had a passion for Italian food, and I don't know if that came from working at Macaroni and Grill. From Macaroni and Grill, you know, worked at Mario's, another Italian restaurant. From Mario's, I ended up working at this really small Italian restaurant in Monroe. It's called Rocco.
Mhm.
So, you know, I learned a lot about like more like traditional Italian food at Rocco, and like, you know, working at Rocco, I ended up finding, you know, the owner. I was kind of like getting more at that. I was 20 something at that time, and I wanted to learn more. So I asked him for book recommendations. I started listening to books, started finding about restaurants in New York.
Mhm.
Found about this restaurant called Del Posto, which, you know, when I found out about it, was in a book, and, you know, it was the best Italian restaurant in the country.
Really, I looked that up because
Mhm.
we did a little research.
Yeah.
It's closed now.
It's close.
yeah. Oh.
A lot of the good ones are.
But, you know, it closed after COVID. And I think it was like a little bit more than the COVID thing. I think it was COVID. I think the Mario Batali lawsuit. You know, he was partners there.
That was huge. That
he was
was
partners
huge.
there with Joe Bastianich.
Mm.
You know, so they had to like buy him out of everything.
Yeah. And I was sure that wasn't cheap with it being the, you know, best Italian.
So yeah, I mean, finding out about the restaurant, you know, it was like, I'm like, that's where I need to go.
So let
Like,
Did you feel good or great when you went there? Like in your mind, you're thinking like, okay, I'm good enough. I feel good. Like I'm going to go down here. And, you know, did you feel good or great like going down there? You felt good enough on your way to New York when you because you had to have some level of confidence to, you know, take that leap essentially, right? To
I
leave
think
here to go there.
I think what kept me going was, you know, this. I think I've always had a drive for working. And, you know, going there, I realized that I wasn't anything. And, you know, this is me like going into like a Michelin star restaurant for the first time, and like, you know, coming from a kitchen when you're the top dog to like walking into a place when everybody was the top dog was like very intimidating.
Yeah.
And, you know, very like legit talented people work there. You know, people that have worked on their older chefs, you know, like, and, you know, I don't know if, I think it was more about like me not knowing enough at the time that kept me to go there, like kept me there actually. And
You didn't know better. You
I didn't know better.
You didn't know enough to know like, okay, this is probably not it, or like
yeah,
time to,
you know, like,
time to move on.
you
Yeah,
know, I
yeah.
think that my own ignorance, that's kind of probably the word that I was looking for. My own ignorance, it was the thing that it was like, you know, yeah, you can do this.
Yeah.
You know? And then once I got there, you know, once they offered me the job, you know, they offered me a job almost on the spot, you know, and I was like, hey, chef, I'm on vacation from my real job. I'm not gonna quit that. I'm also don't have money to move to New York.
Yeah.
He said, you can sleep in my couch. I'm like, can't, chef. Like, if I was working for you and I call you in the middle of my vacation, I'll tell you, hey, I'm not coming back. How will you feel? And he respected that. And I was like, hey, if you give me a couple months, I'll save some money. I'll find an apartment and, you know, I'll come and take the job. Happen. You know,
that's so honorable, man.
And I did that.
It's gonna be a hell of a clip right there. That's a good story. Good
story. I did that, and when I started working there, you know, I thought they were gonna start me like a little bit more advanced than like where they start every new cook and whatnot, and you know, it was very intimidating. And again, like from what I had experienced on my stash, I spent 10 days there before I started working there, which was 10 days. Then 3 months went by, and then I went in there, and it was crazy. I got hired. I started working. I had 2 station partners. They both had started there before me. And I was just by the rule of, you know, promotion and time spent in a restaurant. Like, I'm not going to get promoted anytime soon. So I'm going to stay at this station frying food. That is not the most important station and anything. Like, it's called a muse. So it's like the first free bites that you get in the restaurant. And, you know, I was like, wow, am I going to spend like months here? This is going to be miserable.
Yeah. You're looking at it.
But, you know, the thing is that, you know, it doesn't matter like where I ever land, you know, I always have this desire to do more.
Yeah. That's the difference. Like you said, that's the difference between good and great, man.
You know, I wanted to do more, and you know, I will try to cut more vegetables. We had to do this Brunoise mirepoix for a soup, and like I will go home and I'm like, how can I make him perfect? You know, like look at videos like how to like cut this Brunoise faster than everybody, perfect. You know, it's like everybody was like slicing the carrots with the knife. Then I'll show up the next day, start slicing the carrots with the mandolin. You know, and then I'll start like making like perfect squares, you know, because the carrot's not perfectly square.
Right.
You know, so and within 3 weeks they promote me to the salad station. And from then on, you know, I think for the first 3 months, the thing that kept me going, and I still kept going, but I think it was more you know, it was the fear of getting fired. Every day I walked into the restaurant, I think you know, today's the day.
You can make a mistake.
Today's the day that I'm fired. Yeah, every day. I'm changing.
This is the day.
Put him the chef go. It's like, today's the day that I'm going to fire me, you know? Because like, you know, not so much now, but I think that, you know, I'm kind of happy that I worked in New York when that was still, it was on its way out, but it was still a thing when you could get yelled at and like, you know, they treated you like, almost like not like nothing, but like, you know, chefs know what they want. And if you're not delivering that, they're not really, you know, at that time.
Yeah. They don't have time to babysit.
They don't
time
have
to
time
train
to like
you.
be, you know, polite.
Right. I think there's a movie that came out about that with Bradley Cooper, I believe. Yeah.
You know, they don't have the time to be polite. They want to communicate the message, and it's nothing personal. It's just like, you know, part of my friend was like, fuck you, get me this, hurry the fuck up. Like, it's nothing personal. They just need it.
Right.
We're in a professional environment, and it's kind of hostile, but it's
and they'll laugh and have a drink with you later and forget that they even spoke to you like that. I've seen it.
They forget it in the next.
They're like, what are you so mad? What are you mad about? Like, dude, like, oh, you don't remember when you talked? When?
Like I said that.
Like, yeah.
I mean,
it's
it was
like
no
that.
personal. It was like all they cared was about the guests.
Wow. So your time, like you said, that city ate you up, spit you out. What we like to call water. which are life-changing moments. What was the from your time in New York City? What did you get from being there? What's the biggest water that you can share with us? Like this moment in New York City made me, kind of who I am, or contributed to who I am, being here today.
I don't think there is a specific moment that I would say, but if I was to think back on that, which is a great question, by the way, I think it was a compilation of, chefs kind of like correcting me in a way that made me go harder. When I was doing my stash, Chef Melissa, she ended up becoming the executive chef. At the time, she was only the executive sous chef of the restaurant when I was stashing. But at the end of it, she ended up becoming the executive chef of the restaurant. And then after the restaurant closed, she bought the restaurants with some partners. She opened this restaurant called Al Coro. Chef Melissa is probably one of the most badass chefs I ever met in my life. Del Posto had 1 star. Italian restaurant don't get that much credit in terms of like Michelin star, because Michelin star is more French driven. Now they're really going into the Asian world, which is really awesome to see. But she opens Al Coro, and 4 months later she gets 2 Michelin stars on an Italian restaurant in New York City.
Wow.
She is the real deal. Don't really know what happened there or whatnot, but they had to close that restaurant as well. And Tao Group bought it, and now she's the executive chef of the Crane Club, which is like it's not a steakhouse, but it's like a wood fireplace where they do a lot of stuff over the wood and with the wood fire and whatnot. But when I was staging there, we were turning artichokes together, and again, I was so new to everything, and she's like, "Oh, help me," So we have 2 cases of artichokes in front of us. I've never in my life turned an artichokes. All the artichokes I've seen in my life, they come from a can.
Yeah.
I've never seen
they're a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I've never seen a fresh one, and so she teach me how to do one, and I'm like, learning, taking my time. Then I realized that I'm doing it really slow, and my competitive instinct clicks. And I'm like, she's doing like 2.5 artichokes while I'll do 1, sometimes 3 while I'll do 1, and then I'll just start like going really fast. And middle of like messing up one of the cases, just like turns around and like yells at me in the middle of the entire restaurant. I'm talking about, I was in big kitchen, 25 cooks. I'm white, pale. She's like, how the fuck do you think you can go faster than me if you've never done this? You have to learn how to do it right, and then you learn how to do it fast. And I was like, okay.
Do it right.
And,
that was one of those boo, boo, boo,
yeah,
moments.
and, I wasn't even working there at the time and whatnot. And she remembered that memory, and, 18 months later, on our pre-chef meeting, she brings it up to everybody. About how this kid didn't know how to turn artichokes, and how this kid is the best artichoke turner in the whole restaurant, and she will put him against anybody. But it was like, I think the failures were the things that I take back, failures and fear.
I like that.
I think that those are qualities that naturally us as humans
we tend to run away from. But there is Failures
a
and
lot
fears.
of things that we can learn from them. There's a lot of things that we can use our fears in a positive way. Like I said, the first 3 months I was afraid of getting fired from the restaurant, so I worked even harder.
Gotcha.
Instead of going into a corner and feeling sorry for myself, like I used my own fear and turn it into like the energy that I needed to go a little bit harder than everybody else around me.
Yeah.
So I think the compilation of like fear and failure.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Speaking of good and great, take a second today to shout out today's sponsor of the podcast,
Nat's
Nuts. Today's episode is brought to you by Nat's Nuts.
They come in a
Nat's
variety
Nuts
of
is
flavors. I'm
yeah, a
sorry.
variety of flavor. This one here is the cinnamon whiskey pecans. We've got the salted caramel cashews. There's another pumpkin spice, espresso bean, tons of good flavors or whatever. Nat's Nuts is a
Vanilla
local
latte
brand.
was a new one that.
Oh, vanilla chai latte
Vanilla
if you
chai,
want to
yeah,
get,
yeah,
get something
yeah.
fly for your lady. Yeah. Yeah. So Nat's Nuts, local brand, serving all sorts of cool nuts here in the Rochester area locally. You can get them at Whole Foods. I've seen them at Palmer's, or you can check out natsnuts.com.
And they're
So
vegan.
check
For
it
all
out.
the
Yes,
vegan
and they
folks
are
out there.
definitely a vegan option. So Cruz, you'll be leaving here today with a bag of Nat's Nuts.
I'm not complaining. I like free things.
Yeah. So again, we're talking about good versus great or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, the other varieties, the commercial brands on the shelves may be good, but Nat's Nuts are great.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. Yeah.
You like that first
I
shot?
like
First
that.
shot
I
out
like
the
that.
cannon. Good deal. All right, Cruz. So before we bring it home or whatever, let's come to current day as to where you're at. The Shell Restaurant. Let's talk a little bit about the pop-ups, the private dining, and then the Pierre Resistance, if you will, of where we'll be arriving soon, and the Shell brick-and-mortar.
Yeah, so we started the brand Shell about 2 years ago, and started in the basement of the Reverie. It was just a simple idea of a compilation of different restaurants that I have gone through in Arizona, and I kind of like was very inspired by it, and I kind of wanted to do something like similar to that. Not necessarily in Rochester. I think at the time I wanted to move.
Okay.
But I had this idea, you know, and like as I was looking to move, I had this idea of like, you know, I want to like just check it out how it does here in Rochester. Not for like necessarily for like open it here, but I wanted to give it a try.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Almost create like a proof of concept here.
Yeah, like a proof of concept here since I had a following and whatnot. So we did a dinner. It was 7 courses, which ended up adding 8 courses. I
Sounds
charged
familiar.
Yeah, I charged the most I ever charged for a dinner. And basically it was all about, you know, using the money that we're charging people, but giving it back to them in a way where like, you know, we are going to get the ingredients that no one is serving. We're going to get the best of the best, you know. I was so lucky to be working at the Reverie at the time, and Josh gave me a platform to do that. But, you know, it was like, it wasn't so much about making money when doing this. It was more about like, you know, let's just do it all out of an experience.
That's what I'm saying. It sounds like you're making an experience.
Yeah.
It's a very
proof of concept.
experience.
It's really cool.
I mean, it's very an experience forward restaurant. That's what I like to tell people.
I would tell you, you know, when you came and cooked for us here, probably, if not the best, or one of the best, you know, experiences, food that I've ever
all around, right?
I've ever
food,
had.
experience itself, everything.
For
Yeah,
sure.
was
Straight
very well.
That pasta was
Very well executed. Listen, that pasta was one. That wasn't even one on the menu. Remember, I asked you. I asked him about that personally.
He went
whatever.
back trying to make it at home.
Well, luckily him. I hit him up and I was like, "Damn, Cruz, the pasta was good. Like, you know, what? Because I'm tasting. I'm trying to some of the like with my wines or whatever. I'm finding the ingredients or whatever. I'm like, okay, we got the Calabrian chili there, prosciutto. I'm like, okay. And then I called him about it or whatever. He was like, "Oh, just stop by. I got a couple." He was like, "I'll get you a container of butter. I got some beef stock or some fish stock, lobster stock for you. Put it together." And I literally just had to make my pasta. Like I made my pasta, and you know you can't mess up. Well, you can, but the lobster, it was dehydrated. My prosciutto, and it was like.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It was identical because it was the identical ingredients, but like, yeah, no, it was.
Sometimes it's like
it was perfect,
like,
man.
you know,
Perfect.
it's like one of those like simple dishes, and you know,
It's comfort food too.
it is comfort food,
Very
and
comfort.
you know, I just think it's like so hard to make a stock. You know, I look at stock as like a baby. You know, it's like you put all this loving care for it, and you know, you starting with water. No, you don't start with water. You start with, you know, your shells, you toast them, you take them out, you add your aromatics, then you add your mirepoix. So it's like a long process, you know. I personally like made this lobster stock or this type of stock so many times that like I do it. You know,
Makes
everything
sense.
is like, you know, like grandma almost cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. No measurements. Just
Just
boop,
measure,
boop,
boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, and like, you know, and
I noticed that when you're cooking at the public market, you did some duck. I saw on YouTube, and you just, pinches of salt. You need this, need that. Like, oh, you're not measuring anything. Like, I know you knew exactly what to add just by touching it.
yeah, I mean, it's at the end of it, it comes with the experience, you know, and the knowledge and the willingness that you are to like study things, and, like what works, what doesn't work, and again, failing. A lot of people have my food often, and they're like, they look at me, and sometimes the question is like, "Do you ever like make something bad?" And I'm like, "I do. You just don't get it."
Well, that goes to the point that you made earlier or whatever. Like you're one of the earlier attributes about yourself that you recognize even before cooking was like being a visual learner, and you're able to commit things to memory very easily. So when it comes to that, that's what a lot has to do with that visual memory, and going off of feel and muscle memory.
Yeah, I mean,
repetitions and getting it in over and over.
and I think that memory also translate of like I know how everything tastes individually, and I'm able to like taste things in my head. I don't know. It's like a really interesting process, and I try to like put it on paper for my Marco, for example, my sous chef, because he's asked, Marco is a great person. He always has like great questions, and he asked me, he's like, how do you come up with this? And I was like, dude, I was thinking about carrots. It's like, I always
you told me that how you want to just do carrots in all of these different like cool ways.
It's like I'm always like thinking about something, and then like once I think about the ingredient that I want to use, it's like, okay, what it's like one ingredient, and then on top of here there's like, which way do I want to go? Do I want to go Italian? Do I want to go Mexican? Do I want to go Asian?
Yeah.
And then like when I go Asian, it's like, okay, what can I get? Lemongrass, ginger, garlic, soy sauce, fish sauce, and then like all these ingredients just open up. I'm never gonna, if I'm gonna think Asian, it's like, I don't want to go Italian basil, but if I feel like basil will go well with this dish, Thai basil, and I try to keep everything without that same raw. And then there's like another thing. It's like, what can I do to this carrot?
Right.
I can turn this carrot into puree. I can dehydrate this carrot and turn it into a
dust
chip,
or a powder.
I have to cook the carrots and carrot juice so they taste more like carrots, because it's,
carrot broth.
Yeah.
Stock.
It's all about, again, the whole idea started with the carrots, and like, that's why people always say like, one of the things like when I eat your food is I can taste all the ingredients, like, because I'm not trying to hide it. I'm trying to elevate the ingredients more.
That's so dope. That's so dope. So dope. We'll take a quick break right here real quick. And when we come back, we'll wrap it up with Cruz discussing the Shell brick-and-mortar, which is probably the most exciting part that I'm looking forward to. But so stay tuned. Go grab a quick bathroom break, grab a glass of wine or something, and we'll be right back. So yeah, coming back and discussing the transition now from Shell as a pop-up and a private dining experience, and that transforming into what will be the future brick and mortar. I know you gave me a timeline. I don't want to put that out there, but if you want to speak to that, feel free to jump into it and talk to us a little more about Shell. I've seen the actual place. Phenomenal. I did the media. I sent him a video of putting something together or whatever. I'm like, yo, let's do it. He's like, I want to wait, not put it out yet or whatever. Cause I'm just as excited as you are, if not more. So like, talk to us about the Shell brick and mortar coming soon.
Yeah, so after, doing the pop-ups and whatnot, I decided I wasn't going to go anywhere because I had a brand, I had a product, and more than anything, there was a gap in Rochester for what I was doing. And I think to me, that's always been the important thing for me when I do anything. It's not even about being the first one, but it's about just kind of like finding a gap of something that is missing in our community and bringing it back. And like, hopefully that inspires others to do the same thing in terms of like, oh, we didn't really think that would work here, and that's why we haven't done it.
Almost like solving a problem.
Yeah, but we always wanted to do it.
Right.
And now there's more of this like great thing, and yeah, I mean, I think to be safe, I think our timeline is a little bit shorter than this, but I think to be safe, we're about 8 weeks out
Okay.
It's
2
been
months, 60 days, 60
Yeah.
days countdown.
Yeah, it's been a long process. And the construction, and we took a building that, we did everything from scratch, and we dig in the floor. We had a heated floor into the space.
Oh, no kidding.
So we're trying to really do something really, really nice. So we taking our time, and we have bumps on the road and whatnot. It's everything.
Sure.
Construction is not.
They say if you don't have any speed bumps on your road, you're on the wrong road.
Yeah, I think so too.
Bars.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Reed.
I think
So I'm sorry to interrupt. So opening your own restaurant, what, from a chef's perspective, what small thing are you really looking forward to that, I wouldn't get it as me being a person that eats food. I don't really cook it, but what small thing are you looking forward to? Like, oh, I cannot wait until we have it built and this is mine.
I think more than anything, and this is a conversation that I had with my business partner. What I'm looking for the most in the restaurant, I want to give people in Rochester a place where they feel like they are not in Rochester. That is, and it will be a whole thing together. It's just not one particular thing. But the restaurant is a little bit different or completely different than most restaurants in Rochester,
Right.
I worked at a restaurant, Rella, a while ago, and, I loved the concept there. It was a chef-forward restaurant. The kitchen was at the bar, and, you got to see the chefs cooking in front of you. The chefs took care of you. There was no servers and whatnot.
Oh, wow. I never seen anything like
Oh, it's a dope concept.
Yes.
Dope concept, especially from what I've seen so far. Yeah.
So
It's immersive, engaging.
yeah,
almost.
it's like a very engaging thing. I don't, as I have been doing this private dining and, this pop-ups, which like some of them have been in a larger scale, but majority of them has been really small. I want to have like an intimate restaurant. I want to be able to like talk to the guests and see how they feel, get feedback, honest feedback, and
immediate feedback as well. Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to that, to like just be a different restaurant, and gave people maybe like a little of a space that, they might not. It's like, oh, we have this something really, really cool and unique here in our town that,
cool.
And the closest thing that I would equate it to, because you've seen restaurants where they have like the open kitchen concept and you can see from the bar into the kitchen, but again, it's still, so far away. I mean, this setup seemingly is like almost like reach out and touch, not literally, but like you can, have a conversation. I would equate it to being courtside at a basketball game.
Yeah.
And the player runs right by you. Like that's what this experience seems.
Trip the referee.
It feels like, yeah, you can reach over and grab somebody's drink off of the tray, so to speak, or what have you. But it feels that intimate. And to your point, like you said, that experience of being able to come into this place or whatever and forget you're in Rochester, and even some of the other ideas that you shared, I'll let you get to as far as some of the other things that you want to do. I think is it's definitely heading down that path or what have you.
And we're 8 weeks out. The restaurant has a total of 50 seats. 20 at the bar, 20 in the dining room, and then we have like a little, what we're calling the tapas bar. So if you come in and you have to wait, you can sit at the tapas bar, have a snack, have a drink, kind of like hang out while seats might open or whatnot. Or if you just want to come in and have a small bite and a drink and, take a day and not, have something small and a drink instead of a full meal, like something a little bit more scaled down.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
it. On your way to a show, stop, grab a quick tapas, a drink or whatever, sit down. You don't want to be
grab
full.
Grab a lobster roll, grab a glass of champagne, and then go, like you don't want to be full, you just kind of want to like a snack or something. Like we had that aspect. Again, the kitchen in here will be at the bar. There's like a little small window. You'll be able to kind of like see through the kitchen. I myself or Chef Marco or whoever ends up being like, we have this guy Nello, like we're all trying to like run the food And like, we want to bring the food to you. We want to explain the food to you.
Mhm,
You'll have your bartender might take care of you and like get you your drinks and whatnot. He's the one that's got to be responsible about talking about the drinks because he's the one that created them. He's the one that's passionate about. Meanwhile, while we bring out the food, we are the ones that are going to explain the
A
food.
very
We
personal
made it.
touch.
Yeah. So
Similar like the pop up. I think the last pop up I went to, you guys had that kind of feel to it. I think it was the one at 88 Elm or whatever one off on the side of Wall Street down on East Avenue.
oh yeah, Studio Lounge.
Studio Lounge, yeah.
So it sounds like the pop up was kind of like the precursor to.
Yeah, I mean,
We're trying this.
yeah.
Let's
So
see
we
how it
tried out
goes.
a bunch of things on the pop
And you're
up.
just taking different pieces of it and
Yeah,
applying it.
I mean, we've done this really nice wine dinners where, again, we charge people a lot of money. And a lot of these wine dinners, to be realistic, they are unrealistic, because they take a lot of work. I mean, we're prepping for things for like, days.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
some of the sauces take 2 days to make. And, so it's like, it's
yeah.
a lot of work. And, these are things that might happen, twice a month or something, The pop-ups that have been on the larger scale, it was more about trying to find out how much can we do to the food with the amount of people that we have in staff, in terms of prep, in terms of like managing labor, in terms of like managing a personal life, not necessarily me because I'm the business owner. That's not going to be existence for a little bit, but like, I want to make sure that my employees, have a work-life balance as well. So they're not
Sure.
burned out,
Sure.
so it's like, how can I get them to, how much can we put into the food in terms of like work, because like, some food, like you can make casual food, you can make good food, even great food that doesn't take that much time,
Sure.
But like, we're trying to be really intentional with the food and some of these things. I mean, we've done some sauces that we have to ferment things for like a week,
Oh my goodness.
and
Wow.
like, what can we do, because we're not trying to cut corners,
Sure.
what foods are realistic that we can do that are going to represent and the way that like how our food is going to be unique in
And
certain
thinking about
ways.
things in season from a seasonal perspective as well. So it's almost safe to say that the pop-ups kind of served as like a R&D.
Yeah, they're
for
basically
you.
basically that's what they were. They were
While being able to make a little bit of money doing it, and
Yep.
and again prove the concept
Prove
or
the-
whatever. You're doing your R&D. It's like, oh, okay, so this can work if it takes this many days or whatever. We start it on Monday and we can serve it on a Friday, so to speak.
exactly.
If that's the case, yeah,
Yeah, and it's been, and it's just told us about a lot
genius
about,
when you think about it.
and it's told us about what almost like our signature dishes are. We we have a salmon crudo on our menu that I didn't even created this dish for the menu. Like, my photographer at the time, which I was working with, Crit, he pressed me all the time, and I, as much as like I love putting great content out, I hate creating content in terms of the way that like, the way that we were creating content. Like, for me, food is like very sacred, and I don't like wasting it. So like,
Sure.
having to make a dish just for a picture,
For a photo, yeah.
that like
yeah, no,
nobody
no,
was
no, no.
going to eat, because like sometimes we just made it just for the picture,
But that's why I pride myself on getting it live in action,
And
like as it's
yeah.
happening, so you can see it and appreciate it. I'll tell you one thing, Cruz, that damn Calabrian chili pasta better find its way on the menu at some
Oh
point.
yeah,
That lobster
Pressure from
Calabrian
another
chili,
person.
man, yes, that better find its way onto the menu at some point this year. I want that on the menu at least once,
fine.
at least once.
So, yeah.
Run it as a special. Even.
yeah, for sure.
You know.
So we created this salmon crudo, and and it was so pretty. I also like not only care about making the food taste good. That's like the main goal of everything.
Mhm.
But it was like, it came out to be so beautiful. I'm like, I gotta like share this with people.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And, I ended up putting it on the menu. Everybody loved it. Like, it was the hit immediately.
Awesome.
And then we did another pop-up. We took it off the menu. And everybody's like, "What,
Everybody's
where is that?
coming and looking for it, yeah.
Where is it? Where is it? I'm like,
People are coming signing up for this pop-up based upon other people telling them about the crudo,
yeah.
and they show up like, where's the crudo?
because I'm very notorious. I'll change the menu as many times as I want. Like, I want to feel excited about the food that I'm
Mhm.
cooking. So I have to, in order to that, like if I cook something so many times,
Yeah.
it's not that the dish is bad.
It just comes
but
repetitive and
it's like
it's
a
not fun.
conversation that we're having of Mark
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah.
It's like the relationship with me and this dish is
Yeah,
over. It's
yeah.
not that I don't like him or he didn't do anything wrong. I just want a new
Hey,
one.
like Malaman said, hey, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I just don't want to
Yeah.
do it anymore, you know. But no, I mean, and I love the dish. I'm nothing like, and it's super simple. You know, we just make a really killer sauce and some really nice garnishes. That became one of our signature dishes. Another one that we have on our menu is our lobster roll. People love it, you know. So we've been able to like really find what like really people want.
I've seen you fucking around with that lobster roll on IG just in the house with Marco and someone else. You guys were just in the house messing around with the lobster roll or whatever. I'm like, damn, Cruz. Like, and I'm over here like, what do I got in the fridge?
Well, I'm looking forward to it based on the experience I had, and you know, good luck. Congratulations.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you so
Many
much.
congrats, many
Has to
congrats,
be a
and thank
great
you
feeling.
thank you again for stopping by, man. You know, stick around, guys. We'll definitely jump into the happy hour here in a few. We'll talk more with Cruz. Free, you got anything else that you?
The one last
Think of?
question. We always finish it.
Oh, the
At
one
the
last question, Cruz. What would you, at this point in your life right now, what would you tell a younger version of your younger self? As advice, what advice would you give? What would you say to that person?
I think
This is your water, so choose it carefully.
no, yeah. I know exactly. I think like what I would tell myself, because I feel like I have told this to somebody that I really love very much and went through a similar situation. You know, again, everybody's situation is always slightly different or whatnot, but I think at one point, you know, we all hit rock bottom in life, and like we have that moment. And I think I will just go back and tell myself not to worry about it, because if you're already down there, you just can't go lower. Like it's just up from here.
Only way is up from here, yeah.
And I think in that moment in my life when I was there, it was really, really hard. And, you know, not very many times. I don't think that's probably the only time in my life when I like lost a little bit of hope and I lost myself a little bit. And I think, again, I don't even know if I will go back and tell myself anything, because again, it's part of who I am nowadays. If I go and give myself some advice, like, will I avoid all those suffering and like not be the person that I am today? But I guess if I could give anybody the advice of like, when you're going through some stuff and you feel like life is at rock bottom, like it's only up from there.
I heard someone say, if you're going through hell, keep going. You don't want to stop in hell.
No, yeah.
Keep it moving.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good.
Keep going.
Keep going, you know. It's, you know, you never know. You never know, you know. And like life it's like a carousel, you know. Sometimes you come up, sometimes you're down, and then you're back up. And, you know, and I think all those experiences teach you something. And, you know, I think it's very important to embrace them all in its own way and, you know, get the positive out of it, you know?
Damn, Cruz. Trying to pull a tear out of me, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. I was reading recently that they say men will get to heaven first. So that in Revelations, I think in the 8th chapter, it says when then he opened the 7th seal, and for 30 minutes there was silence.
Okay.
You don't get it.
I don't.
Men are going to get to heaven first. If it's quiet for 30 minutes, ain't no women around. Jesus Christ.
Well,
Good stuff.
Well, Cruz, we end with a dap.
Yeah, we definitely ended with a dap, my man.
All right.
Bring it in there, Cruz. Appreciate it. Oh, and real quick, spotlight the feet pieces.
Oh,
Cruz definitely had to highlight the street.
Those
the
are
street
some
ball.
SB dunks.
SB dunks.
Yeah.
Freeze got the
Just some J's.
what did I call it? The Smurfs.
You
The
call them
Smurf
Smurfs,
ones.
Yeah. You got your Yeezys.
I'm over here out of pocket with just some dusty black Adidas. Y'all got the
No,
colors.
those not just Adidas. Those are Yeezys.
Those are Yeezys, you know?
Yeah, I wasn't trying to say his name. Y'all know he's going through some things right now.
Okay, well, we all going
We
through
still
something.
love him though.
I love him. I do love him. I absolutely love Kanye. He wilding. He be wilding at times or what have you. But like, you know, he's really wilding. But
Yeah.
I got love
Again,
for the
shout out
homie.
to Nat's Nuts.
Nat's Nuts.
Appreciate it.
Again,
Always.
you want great nuts, not good nuts? Get Nat's Nuts.
Yeah, slow roasted, hand in small batches, vegan friendly. It's a cinnamon whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Shout
stuff.
out to one of our good friend, Daryl. Oh, is it,
DB.
DB. We'll just
Daryl
call you
Bell,
DB. Daryl, yeah, he
Came through.
hooked us up with these, and so yeah, that's today's sponsors, and that's nuts. And Cruz, thank you again so much for coming by, man. I'm excited to get in the shell once everything gets open. Excited to continue to work and collaborate with you, get some nice imaging going with you and for you guys over there. Yeah, man, super duper excited. And if you need anything from us any point in time, you let us know. We'll definitely be there for you. I'm excited to actually do this again from the finished restaurant once everything is done, and we have that conversation.
Yeah,
that'll be real cool. Maybe we do like a little tour or what have you, walk through or whatever. That'll be really cool.
I think
I'm excited about
you
that.
know, like if we're gonna go to the restaurant and do this, I want to do it. I don't know. Maybe these mics are out of the picture. Get a little smaller mic, but
you can do some clip-ons.
Yeah, I think if we do a podcast over food with no cards and just talk life and talk,
I'm with it.
Talk shop.
Hey,
at
as
a table.
the young folks say less.
Say less.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The YNs.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite things about food. It brings people together, and
That's me with wine, man. Wine is meant to be drank with people and shared.
Food is one of the things. Race, age, color, creed.
Yeah.
It brings people together. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I've seen it all. I've seen people come into some of our dinners. We do a lot of our dinners are in a communal table, and people from different backgrounds. People, they all look different, in a way.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing them, get engaged in conversation and leave as friends because that day they have one thing in common, and they're not arguing about whatever is going in their life or anything. They're just like, are you tasting the same thing that I am? Like, this is so good, and all of a sudden
absolutely.
it breaks
Vibing
through, and then you have this comfort, and then, all of a sudden you're just best friend with this person that might not even believe in the same things as you, but that don't matter.
Hey, but we agree. This food is damn good.
Yeah.
Well, Cruz, thanks again, my man.
Thank you, guys. I
Look forward to
appreciate
seeing you next time. And,
Thank you for having me.
On that note, we're going to get up out of here. I'm one half of your host, Marquis.
I am other half Free Mail.
And this is the Waterfront Rock Podcast signing off. Catch you guys next time. Peace.